What up, ladies and gents? It's Jason, Zombie Collector, with a review of Total Recall. So I picked up this for $2 schmeckles at a local pawn shop a few weeks back. I had heard that the Blu-ray wasn't a great transfer from the DVD, so I was pretty much just getting it because it was the Blu-ray and I didn't have it, and I'm kind of a completist in that way. Or, it's, you know, we all know, we say completist, we say hobbyist, a collector, but also it's really an addiction. It is an addiction. We have an addiction and we like to collect. We like to obtain and absorb as much film and physical media as we can, either for our own personal collections or for historical purposes. I mean, this movie's been talked about a ton. There's not really anything I'm going to bring to it aside from just maybe some few thoughts. And this DVD, this Blu-ray has no special features. It's just the Blu-ray disc only. I thought the transfer was really good. I mean, again, I don't have a 4K TV, the 4K player, and the highest brand flat screen TV experience that you may see a whole lot more crappy transfer than you would on my little, just whatever, 40-inch screen, flat screen, you know, run-of-the-mill Walmart TV from 10 years ago, whatever. So maybe I'm not the best person to do that, but against the DVDs that I had, this looked great. So I don't really know what the problem is per se, but I just enjoy the movie. I know a lot of people get really hung up on the sound quality, special effects, what you hear, the music effects, the obviously picture quality, the blacks and the colors and the deep colors and all that kind of stuff. And you know, of course I can notice, I have eyeballs, I have 4 eyes. If the quality sucks, I can obviously see that, but I didn't see that being the problem. So I'm kind of surprised at some of the reviews I saw that this movie, they thought it wasn't that great. So, I don't know. I thought it was fine. But again, I'm not sitting there with the magnifying glass up against the TV screen like, this doesn't look right to me. So, again, guys, you all know, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, they live on Earth. He's having these dreams that he is, you know, having like there's a battle or a war going on in Mars, and he wants to go up there and check it out and be a part of the revolution that the battle's going on Mars. But there's a place called Total Recall that, though you might not want to go there physically, they can put you on a vacation where you feel like you've been there, and you can pay to have be like a secret agent, a spy. You can be, you know, a businessman. You can have a woman on your side. You can be married. You can be on a beach. You can be dealing with espionage. The woman you're with can be, you know, high, like supermodel high. She can be, you know, debonair. She can be like aggressive. You know, all these things. You can kind of create your own fantasy. Essentially, what this is, and so you kind of forget that this movie lets you just lets it marinate and just lets it hang. What the Schwarzenegger character is going through, is it real? Or is it just a dream, just a fantasy that he's created? Is it an adventure, like a pick my own adventure experience? And it's a pretty cool idea, because you kind of forget about that actually, because the way the movie ends, you don't know this character's name's Quaid, or is it? You don't know what you just watched. You don't know if it's real life or not. Now, I got to talk about some of the minor characters that kind of get overlooked. Sharon Stone's in this. It's like one of her, I think, one of her very first movies that she was ever in, at least has a major role in it. She's really good at it, surprisingly. I mean, I feel like she had a time in like the late 80s to like the mid 90s where everything she was touching was pretty hot. Obviously, that's not the case anymore. I don't even know if she even acts anymore, quite frankly. But in this, she was really good. She plays like the wife, or is she, of the Schwarzenegger character. You also have Michael Ironside, who's absolutely awesome in this. Michael Ironside, I mean, honestly, he's great. I mean, he could be sitting on a garbage can, looking into a dumpster with it on fire, and do a great acting job. I mean, I just think the guy's criminally underrated. One of the best character actors that's still working out there, which again, character actors or actresses are kind of hard to come by nowadays. I feel like it's a lost art form in film. It's like everybody wants to be a leading man, and then there's everybody else. And it's like, you can have leading men, you can have the Tom Cruises and the Brad Pitts, but character actors a lot of times are what steals the show, or the ones who bring the movie from being good to great. And I think Michael Ironside's one of those guys. You have Ronny Cox, who is from the Beverly Hills Cop fame, which is a lot of people know, and RoboCop. He plays, again, a dastardly, evil, like corporate executive type character who controls Mars air, because of course you can't breathe in Mars. So everything is like air pressure controlled, air controlled. And so he's like, this executive who's in control of that. Or I guess he's an executive. I mean, maybe he's some sort of president or political figure, but I think it's like a more business related. And so he plays that. He always plays a dick. I mean, like, his character is a great, like RoboCop. He's awesome. He actually plays a really likable character in the Beverly Hills Cop movies, which is kind of funny because he can play either or really well, like a real likable, down to earth, chief of police or whatever, and just a real jag off in another movie like this. But those guys do really well. This is one of the only movies you're going to see a midget with a machine gun going to town on this, baddies, just midget, just blowing people away. For that very reason, it's worth watching, because you probably ain't going to see stuff like that nowadays. But again, the movie is really good. The special effects for the time, again, this movie came out, I believe, 88, 89 maybe. So around that same time, I feel like, maybe 90. I don't know. Maybe it's the early 90s now that I think about it. But the special effects, I think, still hold up today. Some of them still, you can tell they're still kind of hokey a little bit, or they're hokey now. But overall, it's a really good experience. And I liked the way it looked. I liked the way it was shot. I liked the comedy in it. It was, of course, your typical 80s and 90s comedy that he would, that they would say, like there's a scene where he's, there's his like taxi cab driver turns out to be, working for, Ronny Cox's character, and he thinks he's a good guy, but he ends up betraying the Schwarzenegger character, and he's trying to like take this big earth bulldozer that bulldozes inside the earth and makes these holes or craters inside the earth, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger picks up this huge machine. It's like a kind of like a big saw kind of thing, but with a big bit on the front of it, like a big mechanical bit that you can use. It's kind of like a huge drill, and he has it. He's shoving it into the side of this cab that this guy is in, and he's shoving it through. And he's screaming, "Screw you!" And it's of course screwing through to chop this guy up. And there's epic scenes like that where he's just saying one-liners, and it's of course it's pretty goofy. And there's a straight up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles scene in here where, if you remember, I think it was Kang and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where you have this big kind of alien looking creature, but on the inside of his stomach is the actual real little creature that's super smart, and there's the one who's creating all these plots to destroy the turtles. Well, they did the exact same thing with this, except it's a human who has a little creature that's like Kang, I think, if I'm saying it, I think that's who it is, Kang or Quang, I don't remember, I think it's Kang, but anyways, a little creature in him, and it's a little human, little baby, creature inside the stomach, and he's the mastermind between, for the rebellion against this corporation, and it's he's he's wait, you must do this, and you're what in the world? But it looked pretty good. I mean, here it is, 2021. Obviously, it's some sort of puppet or whatever, but it was good. I mean, it looked realistic. I think sometimes we forget that special effects back then, though sometimes could look pretty hokey and even bad at times, a lot of the times it was in the camera. It was real. It was real people creating, manipulating the creatures, the faces, the movements, the blood, the oozing, the crying, whatever's going on with these different kind of creatures and effects. And we forget, that looks way more real than Jar Jar Binks. I mean, let's be honest. And even stuff nowadays, sometimes you see CGI in new movies, and you're just man, that looks pretty bad. And I'd much rather go back and watch 80s and 90s movies that have people underneath the floorboards, pushing buttons and moving little, joysticks around and all that. And it's more stilted even in the movement, but it looks real and it looks more believable than some kind of, SpongeBob SquarePants cartoon that's supposed to be in there. You're just obviously that's not real. I can see this looks so ridiculous. Like, this actor's talking to a tennis ball that's up on top of a, you know, some scaffolding or whatever. You're just like, ugh. Like, when I think about, even though I do like that movie, I'd love Doctor Strange, the first one, which the only one that's out there right now. Like, when he ends up fighting Dormammu or whatever, it just looks so... I know it's supposed to be, like, cosmic and fantastical, but, you know, he has this, like, weird, like, cartoonish type eyes and heads, and I'm just like, really? I'm supposed to be scared of a star monster? I don't know. It didn't work for me. So anyways, guys, I almost said Star Wars. Total Recall. So sorry. Total Recall. Again, didn't bring anything to it that no one else already hasn't said. What do you all think? Is Total Recall one of your favorite Schwarzenegger movies? Do you remember it as a kid growing up? Where is it on your list of films from Schwarzenegger or from that time frame, the 80s and the 90s? Do you all have this version? Is there a better version out there of Total Recall? Maybe we can find that one. So until next time, guys, thanks for watching, and tune in for the next one. Thanks again. Bye now.